So, technical difficulties. But back on what we were saying is the use of God's name is commanded. The whole Bible is written for 7,102 ways, or 7,210 ways that the name of God has to be used by application and reading out loud. That's how you say the most important things ever said in history. So Acts 2:16-22 says, on the contrary, this is what is said through the prophet Joel. And in the last days, God says, I'll pour out some of my spirit on every sort of flesh, and you and your sons and daughters will prophesy, and your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams. Even on men slaves and on women slaves I'll pour out some of my spirit in those days, and they will prophesy. I'll give portents in heaven above, signs on the earth below, blood, which means words, fire, which means zeal, smoke, which means our breath mist, smoke mist. That's what it means, the midst of our breath, like you see in winter when we're turning it into these words. The sun, which means woman, will be turned into darkness because she'll know that religion is garbage. And the moon will be turned into blood, which means the men will actually read the words. And that'll be all before the great and illustrious day of Jehovah arrives. And everyone who calls on the name of Jehovah will be saved. So that's Joel 2:28-32. It says, after it must occur that I'll pour out my spirit on every sort of flesh, and your sons and your daughters will certainly prophesy. And as for your old men, dreams they will dream. Your young men, visions they will see. And even in the men servants and maid servants in those days, I'll pour out my spirit. And I'll give portents in the heavens and on the earth, and blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun itself will be turned into darkness, and the moon to blood, before the coming, the great fear-inspiring day of Jehovah. And it must occur that everyone who calls on the name of Jehovah will get away safe, because in Mount Zion and Jerusalem they will have to be the escaped ones, just as Jehovah said, and in among the survivors whom Jehovah is calling. So, Revelation 22:15 says, outside or apart from God are the dogs, the trinities, three-headed dogs. That's on Hades' leash of obligations of financial responsibility. So the dogs are Hades' dog, the dragon, the congregation of the valueless shepherd, which means pastors' congregations, Sunday congregations. Outside the Ten Commandments are the dogs and those who practice spiritism, which means men being the father of your spirit instead of God, and the fornicators who practice helping each other feel good with Easter, Christmas, Halloween. Sunday church is what all that grooming is for, and the murderers and the idolaters, everyone liking and carrying on a lie. That's why Sunday church is a lie, crosses are a lie, one preacher instead of all men reading Jehovah's name is a lie, Trinity is a lie, clergy robes and costumes are a lie, Jesus worship is a lie, separation of children and parents in church is a lie. These people are all outside Jehovah's name, which means Ten Commandments, outside the translation because they carry versions, and they're outside of Jehovah's Spirit. So, absolutely 100%. The Bible says we are personally accountable and responsible for believing that God serves 10 commandments to all people. Now, if you take those things and you don't believe that you have to keep it in the 10 commandments, and you take it to church and go celebrate with church, you're letting somebody else who's not you control your spirit. That's spiritism. And then paying someone to do that is how you become the one who's a child of the lie. And your clergy is the father of the Trinity lie into you. Jesus himself came down in thunder, lightning, power, and glory and proved Trinity is the devil. The opposition is the devil. Trinity is the serpent. You lie about God, you lie about Jesus, you lie about angels, you lie about the Ten Commandments, which is Holy Spirit. You lie about everything. That means you got three lies and one person who's the clergy. That's what Trinity is. It's clergy title, 666, like we showed you. Now, Ten Commandments is an obligation, okay? Every single person is obligated. Sunday church is sin, for a fact. So Ecclesiastes 12:13 and 14 says the conclusion of the matter, everything having been heard, fear the true God, keep his commandments. This is the whole obligation of man. That's the obligation Jesus filled. So God himself will bring every sort of work into the judgment in relation to every hidden thing, whether it is good or bad. Now Revelation 14:12, it says this is where it means endurance for the holy ones, those who observe the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. So God's commandments are serving it. Faith of Jesus is you have to do it without a pastor. You have to personally read the book. That's what Mom taught Jesus. That's how Jesus got all his power. That's our job. It says if we love Christ, we have to keep his commandments and walk as Christ walked. Then when we say we know him, it's because he's serving us. We know where he's at and what he's doing. For a fact, we know where he's at and what he's doing. That's why he came here to McHenry after he spoke to my face in Tulsa. Then he came to McHenry, and that's why we know what is what with that thing. Now, this is where it says about the commandments. In Psalms, we see all the places it says, I believed your commandments. I've done your commandments. Okay? All the Bibles say I believe. Believers believe that you're not allowed to have a pastor, Commandment 3. You're not allowed to have a cross, Commandment 2. You're not allowed to have replace God's name with an institution name. That's Commandment 1. Jehovah's the God, not your institution. And number 4, Saturday is the day we read the scriptures, not Sunday. Okay? So Luke chapter 8 says, and a certain ruler questioned him, saying, Good teacher, by what, doing what, shall I inherit everlasting life? And Jesus said, Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, God. So Jesus said he's not good and not God. You don't receive worship from men. And Jesus said, You know the commandments. He said eternal life and everlasting life. 10 commandments is what God will do to people forever. And the devil's people who go to church on Sunday, they will do Saturday Sabbath with the devil forever and explaining all the things they did against the Saturday, and the devil will use them to teach. But Jesus will use us to teach how we obeyed God and got to work with Christ and the angels. And don't commit adultery, don't murder, don't steal. So which commandments? Jesus recited the 10 commandments. Now what does it say at Matthew 19? Matthew 19:16 says, Now look, a certain one came and said, Teacher, what good must I do to get everlasting life? He said, Why do you ask me about what's good? One there is that's good. So Jesus said, He's not good. Only Jehovah's good. So it says, if you want to enter life, observe the commandments continually. It says, this is life. And Jesus said 10 commandments is eternal life. So eternal death is when you're apart from Jesus doing something that's Sunday church or pastors or crosses or Jesus statues or tree with no roots and no fruit or Mary paintings or Jesus paintings or Christmas villages or any other kind of rosaries and dead Jesus or Mary statues, angel statues with wings. So then you can see on 18, he said, which ones? So when he said which ones, he said you must not murder, you must not commit adultery. So Jesus explained God's commandments, not the Mosaic commandments or Levitical commandments on how to be a pastor or Levitical. So when Jesus died, he abolished the how to be a pastor law. And when he died, they murdered him with the pastor laws by being perverted. They murdered him when all the congregation laws, Mosaic law, is how they obeyed the pastor, because the pastors changed the law. Then the group changes the Mosaic law, and the whole thing was so corrupt it couldn't be fixed anymore. So there's no more model allowed. Individually, you need to read the book and see what it says, and then you do it, and the angels come do it with you. That's why. And it says here at Mark 10:17, as he was going on his way, a man ran up and fell on his knees before him and put the question, Good teacher, what must I do to inherit everlasting life? And Jesus said, Why do you call me good? No one's good except one, God. You know the commandments. Don't murder, don't commit adultery. Again, Jesus said the 10 commandments. Now, 10 commandments is the first 5, how we love Jehovah by letting him charge us up. And the last 5 is the key in how we do it, because that means we're working with angels. We're always pressing to bigger and better ways for the last 5 to happen, because we let the angels make us happen by the first 5. So we're borne along by the first 5 commandments, carrying us and charging us up. But we are not carried along by church throwing that away and having some pastor replace the first 5 commandments. That's traditions of men replacing the commandments of God. Now, you must be judged or taught the first 5 commandments according to what you do, what they provide for you. Not go to church and have your name belong to a pastor to fill up and do a database there. So it says, Now a certain man versed in the law rose up to test him out and said, Teacher, by doing what shall I inherit everlasting life? He said, Well, what was written in the law? How do you read it? And he said, You must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole strength, and your whole mind, and your neighbor as yourself. He said, Well, you answered correctly. Keep on doing these and you'll get life. Now, here's the thing. That's what whole or holy or complete or completely or full or fully or perfect or perfectly means. Now, perfect means you got all 7 parts on, and you use all 7 parts to let God serve you and catch it. When he sends you signals, you catch it with 7 parts, completely checking everything. That's how you fear God. You fear missing out. You check your 7 parts: body, mind, emotion, your breath, which is your incoming and outgoing, the angels in twos, and Jehovah is the name of the person who's controlling it. That's 7 parts. Clergy, the 8th part. You got to cut them off. Otherwise, you're a spider and you build a spider's house. You need to be a 7. You build the house of the Lamb, the house of Jehovah, the house of the great King, Jehovah the Almighty. Now, when all those things happen, you'll see for a fact Sunday church is the devil's using human bodies to come together, where the devil controls all the people to be nice to each other. And you can throw away God's name. You put up your symbols and images that they call the scarecrow to keep the angels out. And then you put up a clergy title, which is a complete violation of commandment number 3, because clergies can replace God. That's why it says Sunday church is sin. So, again, the conclusion of the matter, everything having been heard, the obligation Jesus filled, he taught us the new way to do God's law that he has to serve to us. The new way to do it and understand it is to have the angels do it to us first. No more making a model to go learn. That's the obligation of everything. So God will bring every sort of work into the judgment, into every hidden thing as to whether it is good or Jehovah was building it, or if it was bad. You did it a man's way instead of God. That's bad. Revelation 14:12. This is where it means endurance for the holy ones. The whole soul, whole mind, whole body, whole heart. It means the whole database, the whole life, your whole chemistry, your whole mental process, and your whole flesh. It has to be to receive the 10 Commandments from God to do everything. Sex, food, shopping, sports, whatever. Now, 1 John 5 says, everyone believing that Jesus is the Christ has been born from Jehovah. That means your database has been started by angels. Database is the history of your life, the personal inventory of the values you learned. You have to have that started by angels touching you and blessing you. Now, it says everyone who loves Jesus, loves Jehovah who caused to be born, loves Jehovah's son, Jesus, who has been born by Jehovah. This is how we gain the knowledge that we are loving the children of God, when we are loving God and doing his commandments. That means God gives us his 10 commandments and we do whatever he's shown us, and we add it to our work, our life, our food. Number 3 says this is what the love of God means, that we observe his commandments. His commandments are not burdensome, because everything that's been born from God conquers the world. The world is the world of unrighteousness from pastors. The real world, the Jehovah's blessing, Jehovah's system, is the kingdom, his kingship. And that's how we conquer the world. This is the conquest that has conquered the world. Our faith. Our faith. So the bottom line is, everything that gets served 10 commandments where you can see it, you know where angels are and what they're doing for you, and you rise up. And you go far above the clergies. You're not part of some Sunday bullshit, whatever you want to call it, that the dung beetles inside of your heart eat to make your heart not 12 parts, to make your mind not 12 parts, to make your name not 7 parts, to make your spirit receiving all that not 7 parts. You can't be whole. You can't be complete. You can't be perfected, which means all your 12-part mind, 12-part heart, 7-part spirit, 7-part soul. You can't have all that completeness. You can't do the 70 times 70 times if you've got 8 parts of you, because the clergy's job is to block all that. That's why your clergy's got a warning when Jesus came face to face with me and served me, because he told you you're not ordained. You got the devil's ordinances and how to lie. The ordaining of God is the 10 Commandment ordinances that he has to do for you since you're born. And we have 2 ordinances. Watch the angels do them to us each personally, individually, according to what we're doing. Then you can actually know what the hell's real and you can share. Now, the real word for hell is Gehenna. So, hell means the people who are disconnected from God's giving them the 10 Commandments. They're not afraid of missing out on Jehovah's things because they're afraid of missing out on the pastor's things instead. That's why the devil is the opposition. That's pastor. The opposition to no pastors allowed is pastor. The opposition to no carved images, symbols allowed, the opposition to that is the cross. The opposition of Jesus Christ teaching Jehovah's name is go to a church where they throw Jehovah's name away and they don't know. The opposition to Saturday being a regulation, a rule for God's kingship, make Sunday the devil's kingship. We're going to show you where Sunday church came from. Okay? Now, they talked about all this religion. Okay? Everyone believing that Jesus is the Christ, the bottom line rule of God, has been born from God. Okay? And everyone who loves that one loves it. So we're doing his commandments, and all of those things has conquered the world. Now, the world means the people who replace services from God with traditions where men serve each other. So Mark 7:6-9 says, Isaiah aptly prophesied about you, hypocrites. As it's written, this people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far removed from me. It's in vain they keep worshiping me because they teach as doctrines the commands of men. And they let go of the commandments of God, so they won't let God serve them 10 commandments, but you hold fast the tradition of men to break all the commandments. And further he said, adroitly you set aside the commandments of God in order to retain your tradition. Isaiah 44:5 says, this one will say, I belong to Jehovah, and that one will call himself by the name of Jacob, which means he became Israel. Jacob wrestled with the angels and became Israel. Another will write on himself on his hand, belonging to Jehovah. And by the name of Israel, one will betitle himself. So, that's what it means. See, people who are being taken away to death are being taken away to Trinity. Trinity is death to your 7 parts because you focus on 3 parts and let the pastor control your spirit. So you're not 7 parts in 10 ways when you're receiving, and you're not 7 parts in 10 ways when you're giving. The first new commandment is for you to receive the 10 commandments into your spirit. You have to have God serving you by his name Jehovah. That's your job. You got to read the book and you have to practice it. Okay? Then you need to know that whenever God is serving you, honoring you, it comes by a certain way that God's going to absolutely take all of your ignorance away by making you whole. It says you have to be perfect because God your Father is perfect. It doesn't mean you have to learn how. It means you have to know that you're 7 parts. And the 8th part, that's how you circumcise your heart. You cut it off. You must be a perfect, complete of its kind, 7-part organism, a human being. 7 parts. The 8th part got to go. That's the commanding call of Christ. The commandments makes Jehovah, who's connected to you already, your leader. That means your gut is your leader when Jehovah's doing 10 commandments to it. The commanding call of Christ is cut off your clergies, throw away your crosses, no more sermons. The sermons are in the book. When you read all the sermons, you become perfected. Faith is perfected and finished when you're married to Jehovah, connected, and all your connection is on. Now, again, 1 John 2:6 says, whoever says they come to know God, they come to know Jesus, and is not keeping Jehovah's commandments with Jesus his way, is a liar. And the angels are not doing the things written, which means the truth. The truth is not in that person for God to do the commandments. John 8:44 says that the devil's the liar, the father of the lie. Now, God says it's important for Sabbath, especially the Saturdays you are to keep, because it's a sign between me and you during your generations, that you may know that I, Jehovah, am your God, is sanctifying you, and you must keep the Sabbath because it's something holy to you. A profaner of it will positively be put to death. That means the angels will leave. All Sunday pastors are dead to the reception of God. So 6 days you could do work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath. So you could see all of these things. If you're going to be Israel, you have to be a spiritual Israel by receiving what the Israelites received. Except you're receiving yours by angels first and not the demonstration first. So, everything that is said about God himself serving man, God does not serve religion to man. So, God serves power to man. Now, when I told you I'm the bright morning star and we're celebrating that being done in the commanding call of Christ, I want you to know that Revelation 22:16 says, I, Jesus, send my angel to bear witness to you people of the things for the congregation. I'm the rooted and offspring of David and the bright and morning star. Okay? So, that's why the bright and morning star that I received, when John wrote letters to the angel of the congregation, he wrote letters to the men who were all one heart, one man. We were taking their turns reading the scriptures. It says we must walk as Jesus walked. Jesus went to the temple, and when it was his turn to read, he stood up. That's how they did it. Each man demonstrated in front of the women. Women would cover their heads. That was the only 2-3 hours that they were not first place. So the man would raise up and take his turn reading his part of the written word on an annual basis. That's the acceptable year of Jehovah. That's what Jesus came and restored. That's the miracle that happened that we celebrate this month on the 25th. The month that Jesus came down to prove all Sunday pastors have the devil inside, the opposition inside, the plunder inside, the reinstituting of the tithes and offerings laws, which is Levitical laws that Jesus abolished. They're putting it back to get money for themselves. Their institutions are teaching them how. That's why their institutions are called the beast, because they won't come when they're called. And the number of the beast is the clergy title that they let out. And the mark of the beast is on you. It means your hand is marked when you're reaching in your pocket to pay for all that filthy trash. And the name of it is the mark. The number, and what's the image of all that beast? And the mark of the beast, and the number of the beast, which is the clergy's building your identity in your frontal lobe. What's the image of all that? It started with the cross, and now it's got all the religious symbols and images. The cross, the ankh, all of it. That's why you must never be wearing one. Not on your ears, not on your chest. Don't advertise their symbol of their false leadership. Now, Hebrews 4:1-3 says, for all men, new system, the Ten Commandments is our rest day. The Sabbath, Saturday Sabbath, is our rest day. Hebrews, New Testament, Jesus' words, then and now, forever, always. It says, therefore, since a promise was left entering into his rest, let us fear that somehow some of you may have fallen short of it, because we have had the good news declared to us also, even as they do have had, but let's see. But the word which was heard didn't benefit them, because they were not united by faith with those who did hear. Because we who have exercised faith do enter into the rest, just as it has been said, so I swore in my rage, they'll not enter into my rest, although that his words were finished from the founding of the world. Because in one place it said of the seventh day as follows, and God rested on the seventh day from all his works. And again in this place, they shall not enter into my rest. So since therefore it remains for some to enter into his rest, and those with whom the good news was first declared did not, because of disobedience, he again marks off a certain day by saying after so long a time in David's psalm, today, just as it has been said above, today if you people listen to his own voice, do not harden your hearts. Because if Joshua had led them to a place of rest, God would not have afterward spoken of another day. So there remains a Sabbath resting for the people of God, because the man that has entered into God's rest has also himself rested from his own works, just as God from his own. Now, if you're Jacob and you're wrestling, Jacob had to wrestle the angel to get his position, then he got a new name, Israel. Now, it says, if we're working, wrestling, we're trying to find it at church, we're trying to find it through the psychologist, we're trying to find it through therapy, we're trying to find it through recovery program. That's not how you recover. That's not how you get therapists. The traditions of AA, spilling your beans, the traditions of Celebrate Recovery, you go listen to everybody's problems. No. It's the system of reading it out loud and angels doing it to you. That's why the truth is in you. It means you read the words and angels are inside of you doing it. They use your own body. The angels control people's bodies. When your arm moves out by itself, or your head does something by itself, or they move a physical object around in your apartment, you'll see for a fact what the truth is. And you'll know it's not demons doing those things, because you got Jehovah's name. He's doing it the way that it's written. And when the angels do appear, they appear like heat. You can see light through them. They don't appear like shadows, jet black, and no light going through them. And when you see breath mist, like white, angels light up a mist in the air, and they'll show you things. Those are good angels, good spirits. Those are angels that take care of you and bless you, honoring you. Those are not scary, wicked spirits that's going to take things away from you and jump in your body and shut your energies down. Those are angels that jump in your body and do the Ten Commandments to you and help you. Those are angels that work around you and bless you. That's the reality of Jehovah's kingdom, the reality of Christ. Per person, to show you how to be a mom with a child that's disabled. Show you how to be a mom with a child that's hyper. Show the child how to listen to mom and lay down so the angels can make them go to sleep at night and give them really good sleep. Showing them why they got to eat their vegetables, making them hungry, making their mechanism of craving, their taste buds, their mouth watering for foods that are good for them. That's why it's so important to read this book and see all the things angels can do for you people. It's more than a Mother's Day across the globe when we honor the whole world. Now, here's what it says about Saturday Sabbath. It says, let us therefore do our utmost to enter into that rest, for fear anyone should fall in the same pattern of disobedience. Sunday church is disobedience. So, for the word of God is alive, exerts power, and is sharper than any two-edged sword, pierces to the dividing of soul and spirit. Spirit is the charge up, soul is the use of the charge up. That's the joints and the marrow. Now the marrow is the bone and the nourishment that comes from the bone to make immune system. And the joints are how we move around and use that power. And it's able to discern the thoughts and intentions of the heart. And there is not a creation that's manifest to its sight, but all things are naked and openly exposed to the eyes of him with whom we have an accounting. So that means when your inner brain is a pupil, your outer brain is the eyeball, and it's all connected. Your core neurology, your physiology is all one and balanced between there is your spirit, so you know the purpose, what you're going to do with it, where it's coming from, and soul is use of it. That's the last 5 commandments that we do. That's the right and left foot, right and left lung. You got 3 lobes on one side, 2 on the other side. That's 5 lobes of the lungs. That's for the first 5 parts of God's power to use, your spirit, your name. That's when the sand grain from your mother, it's all the layers of pearl wrapped around it, and you go from physical instructions to angels' instructions. Like we said before, that's supposed to be finished before puberty, so your bloom of youth is a full bloom of youth where everything gets actuated on, and you know the balance of sensuality and physiology to use your neurology and physiology together so it makes a sensual appeal properly for the right things. Not for going to church and Easter bunnies and Christmas and Santa and all the delusional crap. That means dung beetles. Now, who changed the Sabbath to Sunday? The Roman Catholic Church. It's everywhere. Nowhere in the Bible do we find Jesus or the apostles anywhere changed any of the Sabbath. Okay? So the whole point is when you look at James Cardinal Gibbons, okay? The Cardinals, they said that you may read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation and you will not find a single line authorizing the sanctification of Sunday. The scriptures enforce the religious observance of the Saturday on which we never sanctified. Okay? James Cardinal Gibbons, The Faith of Our Fathers. The Cardinal in 1917 said right here that the Sunday church is not sanctified. They know they're putting the devil's church in the people, but it's a big financial institution. It keeps the people coming back to pay their bills. Okay? Now, you could see that there's a letter here to Catholic Church. Albert Smith. If Protestants would follow the Bible, they would never worship God on the Sabbath day. They should worship God on the Sabbath day. That is Saturday. In keeping Sunday, they're following the law of the Catholic Church. So the leaders of the Catholic Church, okay, that is Albert Smith, the Chancellor of the Archdiocese of Baltimore, replying, saying, if you follow the Bible, you have to worship on Sabbath. And in keeping Sunday, you're following the law of the Catholic. Catholic Church is the devil's law against God. Catholic people have said it. It's all over. You ladies are getting screwed. You're taking sex in the wrong hole, having sex with the male organ, the seminarian, and you're being layman to the seminarian. That's illicit immoral intercourse. Now, this other one here says Stephen Keenan, A Doctrine Catechism, okay? If you're not in any way proving that the church has power to institute festivals of precept. So, had she not such power, she could not have done that in which all modern religions agree with her, that she could not have substituted the observance of Sunday, the first day of the week, for the observance of Saturday, the 7th day, in exchange for which there is no scriptural authority. So, the Catholic people know they have no authority from the Bible to make Sunday church. Now, another one said, how do you prove that the church has power to command the feasts and holidays? The Sabbath Sunday, which Protestants allow of. I mean, this whole thing. They were warning their own people that it's not from the Bible. So, Daniel Ferris in 1916 said, by virtue of her divine mission, the Catholic Church changed the day from Saturday to Sunday. That means the Catholics called themselves divine more than God. They changed God's day to their day. So, is Saturday the 7th day according to the Bibles and the Ten Commandments? I answer yes. Is Sunday the first day of the week, and did the church change the 7th day Saturday for the first day Sunday? I answer yes. Did Christ change the day? I answer no. Faithfully yours, J. Cardinal Gibbons. So, Antichrist is 7th day. Antichrist is first day. The actual Christ is 7th day. Now, so, you're saying all these different things here. when they question people, you see, the Catholic Church chained the observance of the Sabbath day to Sunday by right of the divine, infallible authority given her by the founder, Jesus Christ. The Protestant, claiming the Bible to be only guide of faith, has no warrant for observing Sunday. Now, this matter, Seventh-day Adventist is the only consistent Protestant. The Catholic Universe Bulletin, August 14th, 1942. That means only way that you can protest Catholic is by receiving the Ten Commandments from heaven and doing what's real to show the Catholics that they're the devil. All the opposition to God is Catholic. It's where Catholic started. That's why Chaldean, if you look it up, Patriarch of Babylon, you'll see Babylon, Chaldean, you'll see it. That's how God is destroying Catholic database, so that the Catholic people don't keep using it to each other, hooking each other to the demons in their guts that's running it. All Catholic is the devil, and you must not be part of it if you want to be working with Christ to wash off the Catholic off your garment, because Catholic is the menstruation on your garment. That means the history of your life. When you're honoring Catholic instead of parting yourself away from Catholic, you're anti-Christ. And when Christ comes in and says Catholic is the devil, it's opposition to my Father, and he shows up in thunder, lightning, power, and glory, and you keep going to Catholic and Sunday church. All Sunday church is Catholic from the devil. The Catholic people said it's from the devil. The Catholic leaders said it's from the devil. The Protestant people said Sunday church is opposition to Christ. They know they're opposing Christ. Even the papacy in Rome. So what power claimed the authority to change God's law? The papacy in Rome. The Pope is of so great authority and power that he can modify, explain, or interpret even divine laws. The Pope can modify divine laws since his power is not of man, but of God, and he acts as vicegerent of God upon earth, and that's translated from Lucas Ferris, Prampa Biblia, whatever it says there, or Papa. Anyways, Bibliotheca, ready library is what that says. So, do you think the Pope is more power than God? Do you think God told the Pope to change the Sabbath? It's not true. Revelation was the last written word, says Saturday's the Sabbath. Jesus came down with thunder, lightning, power, and glory to me and this team to prove the Sabbath. Jesus appeared on Sabbath. Jesus came down with all the Holy Marys and spoke in thunder. And Jehovah spoke in thunder by Jesus. So Jesus spoke by getting the angels together so God could put thunder through them. And all the other angels turned it into words and blessed the Sabbath day to me, to my face, the power. All this here, this Catholic authority, the people are acknowledging that they know that they're against God changing things to Sunday. But they need that money from you women. They need your kids to make it look pretty. Do Catholic authorities acknowledge that there is no command in the Bible for sanctification of Sunday? It says they do. They read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, and you will not find a single line authorizing the sanctification of Sunday. The scriptures enforce the religious observance of Saturday, a day which we never sanctify. James Cardinal Gibbons, The Faith of Our Fathers. So, the Cardinals admit they're not sanctifying the Christ. They're not sanctifying the Ten Commandments. So they said they're a liar. So the Catholic fathers are fathers of the lie, because Jesus said, don't call anyone on earth your fathers, because the truth is not in them. That means the lie is in them, blocking out the truth, and they are antichrist because they call themselves fathers. All Catholic is the devil's fathering of people until you're directly ass backwards, 1,000% against Christ. Now, Roman Catholic and Protestant confessions about Sunday. I mean, this is another one. So all these articles that was compiled by someone online to warn you. This was all put together, and they didn't even put their name on it. They put the references, and I checked all these online, and you can see. Okay, so Roman Catholic Protestant confessions about Sunday. You can see that one. Roman Catholic confessions, James Cardinal Gibbons again. You can see all these other things. High schoolers, 1936. God likewise determined Sunday being the day of worship in the new law. He himself has explicitly substituted. They're claiming that God did all these things. He says, I am the God of heaven. I don't change. It's carved in stone. You people know what carved in stone means. And this one says the church chose Sunday, the first day of the week, and in the course of time added other days as holy days. And that's from Daniel Ferris, Manual of Christian Doctrine, 1916. Now there's all kinds of other things from churches here. They question these people. They ask these people, Protestants, evangelical, Episcopal people. This one. This is another one from Catechism. Okay, people arguing. And there we are told in the scriptures that we are to keep the first day at all. Where are we told in the scriptures that we are to keep the first day at all? We are commanded to keep the seventh, but we are nowhere commanded to keep the first day. The reason why we keep the first day of the week holy instead of the seventh day is for the same reason that we observe many other things, not because of the Bible, but because of the church has appointed and has enjoined it. That's Canon Eaton, the Ten Commandments, page 52, 63, and 65. Another one. There is no word, no hint in the New Testament about abstaining from work on Sunday. Into the rest of Sunday, no divine law enters. The observance of Ash Wednesday or Lent stands exactly on the same footing as the observance of Sunday. Bishop Seymour, why we keep Sunday. Baptist people said, Baptist people know Sunday church is the devil. Okay? Congregationalist people know that Sunday's the devil. It's clear that however rigidly or devoted we may spend Sunday, we are not keeping the Sabbath. Sabbath founded on specific divine command. We can plead no such command of the obligation to serve Sunday. There's not a single sentence in the New Testament to suggest that we incur any penalty by violating the opposed sanctity of Trinity. The disciples of Christ know. The disciples of Christ, Alexander Campbell, it says the same thing. The Lutheran Church, they know Sunday church is the devil. They know Sunday church is sin. This has been going on since the 1800s. They've been telling people that the Catholic referred to the Sabbath day having been changed into the Lord's Day contrary to the Decalogue, which is 10 Commandments. And it says all of those things. So the bottom line, even the Methodist people, even in the 40s, Harris Franklin Rail, Christian Advocate of July 2nd, 1942. It says, take the matter of Sunday. There are indications in the New Testament as to how the church came to keep the first day of the week as its day worship, but there's no passage telling Christians to keep that day or to transfer the Jewish Sabbath to that day. So the bottom line is Sunday church was built by the devil for people to have demons inside them and do nice things to each other. Because when the demons are in you, attached to you, contrary to popular belief with the scary monsters on the Hollywood films, the demons are nice. Jesus said people won't quit demon worship because it's nice. He called demon worship old wine, alcohol. People are drunk because your body, mind, and emotion is amped up instead of spirit. It's not balanced out. That's why Sunday church is the drunkenness, the escalating of body, mind, and emotion through spiritism, the same way you do it with wine, the same way you do it with drugs. It's all outside, it's all physical means of controlling spirit instead of spirit controlling everything. So that's why reading the book is most important. The Moody's, the Presbyterians, everybody knows, even Jehovah's Witnesses. They've even translated the whole entire book, the translation that's the most powerful one. Now, Sunday church is a lie. Revelation 22:15, one of the last things spoken. Outside the Ten Commandments, outside of life, are the dogs, the trinities, those who practice spiritism of clergy, the fornicators who schmooze each other, they escalate each other mentally, emotionally, and physically, and the murderers and the idolaters and everyone liking and carrying on a lie. That means everybody who's a liar. Christmas tree is a picture of the lie. You got all this decorated stuff on a tree with no roots and no fruit. It's cut off at the roots. It's just like this tree here. Just like this tree, cut off at the roots. This is the Ark of the Covenant. It was a carving of the vocal cords, which we showed. Everything below that, that's Hades, god of the underworld. That's pastor. If you belong to the pastor, he controls everything down here to lie about everything up here. So that's why you're not allowed to go be programmed that way, or else you do belong to those programmers. And they can't be an angel until the devil's an angel. Once the devil gets his angel power back, after everybody goes to sleep who does not have enough charge up to get into the air, You said no to the commands of God. That's what charges you up. That's how you get an electrical field all inside of you around your name, so your name can be fully conscious in the air without a flesh body. He's given us the entire list of reasons and logistics how this works. So I hope you all get the satisfaction of knowing yourself, your day, and your connection to God. It's very simple. The Ten Commandments, a child can memorize it. And that's our first commandment from Christ. No more pastors. It's your job. That's why the pastors are called a rafter in your eye. Because if your hands go down, it says, through great laziness, the rafters sink in. The beamwork sinks in through great laziness and the dropping of the hands. That means you need your right and left cerebral hands that hand in data and hand out data. Okay? That means you need to program that and tune that the right way so that angels can help you function that way. All of those things are for a forwarding where God does things to you in advance before you work on it. Like let's say you're a bricklayer and you're doing bricks. Somebody gives you a truckload of straps that you nail the straps to the wall, and then you put it through the mortar while you're laying the bricks to hold the bricks to the wall. You get a truckload of straps. That's Jehovah telling you, get ready. You got a big job coming. Someone gives you a bunch of them. Okay, it means you're going to have a big job. It means get ready. That's how Jehovah does forgives. Real forgiveness of sins means tools for assignments. It's like a mechanic getting a whole toolbox as a gift. And from Jehovah, oh my God, that's awesome. I'm going to have some kind of a mechanic job. And then all of a sudden, you get a job and you need a mechanic's toolbox. And there it is. It's like somebody has a car for 1/10 of the price and it's got a blown head gasket. So you pick it up and you fix the head gasket on it so you can sell it. And all of a sudden someone goes, man, I need a car. And yeah, I got one. I just did head gasket. And then all of a sudden you got a car to give somebody who needs a car. That's all forgives. Legitimate, logistic, real things you get in advance as you keep the Ten Commandments. And you see God providing for you all over. Even a new pair of shoes you get in advance. All of a sudden you get to be part of some volunteer for a walking program fundraiser and you got brand new walking shoes. I mean, it's tons of things, tens of thousands, millions of things all over forgives. The forgiveness of sins means you see all what you're missing at church. It says all the years the locusts have eaten, God can replace. He says, I'll replace all the years the locusts have eaten, says Jehovah. That means your clergy's eating up your time and your money over worthless garbage. It's not true. It's a bunch of psychological crap on how to live when you're disconnected from God. You don't need to know how to be an expert from that, from some illegitimate, filthy source of data. You need to get the exact data out of the book so God's living with you and serving the angels to you so you have the right tools as you go. You don't need to learn the clergy psychology if you're connected to God and the angels are taking care of you. That's real, full psychology. Psychology is the balance between neurology and physiology, and when the angels are proactively helping you do it, that's 10,000% opposite of it all getting shut down and rearranged and screwed up and fragmented by your religious people that you're paying to destroy your capabilities. So thank you for your kindness and reviewing these things. The command and call of Christ is out. Do the Ten Commandments with the angels who provide them, and that's your forgives, your tools, your setup, preparations in advance. That's 10,000% opposite of what you get at church when you get to shut down. You look at a whole bunch of other people shut down, and you commit to help each other stay that way. So cancel your Sunday meetings and start your reading, and enjoy your Saturdays, like we did for all those times. Have a great day and enjoy these new concepts. Plug it in and check it, and you'll see. Look at it online. Look where Sunday church is from, what it's for. All the religious people who sent it out to their own groups. It's not from God, and they don't care because the parties are so nice, the people are so nice. The only problem is that's what wicked means. It means it's a nice, beautiful process for a very brutal ending. So look at all the years you missed. Look at all the command and call that went out. You didn't get it. Your churches didn't get it. I went there and they attacked. You can look at the police records. If you do pay the money online, look at the police records. If you know any police officers that are your friends, look it up. Look what my name means. Look what Dennis George Burdick Jr. from McHenry, from Wakanda, what that means. Look at the police altercation. Even the police, when they look at my record, they shake their head. It's all because of your pastors, what they do with your money. They blocked you because they don't want to change. And guess what you want? You want to work with angels. You want forgives. You want angels to constantly be there. You get cut, they want the angels to take care of it and fix it. You get something happen, you want the angels to maintain it. You want the angels in your breath, your blood, your nerves. You want everything turned on. That's what you want. That's what's here. That's what the Ten Commandments provide to you from Jehovah the person. Because Trinity, the concept, is a lie. We know exactly what Trinity is. There's no more mystery, no more Holy Spirit mystery. Holy Spirit means angels connect to you and means your spirit is whole. It means your charge up, your spirit is complete. That side of your name is complete in 7 ways. Then you get 10 Commandments in. Then you know what to do when the 10 Commandments are going out, and angels show you how to use your 7 parts to function at that level. That's 70 times 70 times. And staying in that no matter what other people do, that's agape. That's unconditional love. It means you do yours regardless of what other people do. That's a fact. That's what all these words are for, what they mean to protect moms from the shysters, to haul them off in some Sunday bullshit, bull dung, Sunday dung food from the dungy idols, where the dungy scarabs inside of you are eating that dung, all this Egyptian process. You see all these people with these Egyptian statues, Egyptian ankhs, all they're saying, oh, that's start of Jesus, start of Trinity. Well, it's the start of Antichrist. It's the start of turning Babylon into marketing. Babylon is the distribution of networking of Trinity lie. Then Egypt was the escalating in the business model of Trinity lie. Sodom and Gomorrah, that's the proof of all the decrepit, filthy, degenerative, low sink of debauchery that happens when people don't know that their eyes are cameras, ears are microphones, your name is an unerasable hard drive, and your body is to keep adding things to that list. People don't know what a human being is when they got a pastor, when you got Jehovah to be your pastor. Then God himself deals with you directly with his hands, angels that are tied to him, making you tied to him so that you become part of the net that God collects the fish together. Body, mind, emotion, breath, all tied together in the history of your life, tied together with other people who have the history. Then the net gets bigger and bigger, and you have authority to be part of God's using you to catch people when they start to check and they want the facts. So thanks for looking, listening, checking the facts. You folks are awesome. Thank you for learning how to get all the mass forgives that you need to replace all the years that your clergies have eaten, for God to put it back correctly with angels. And only you can know what that means for you. Only you can have God show you who you are. And that's not going to happen if you have the pastor show you instead, because he's going to show you all the things that tickle you and make you feel good, so you keep going back. And it'll work if you work it. But if you let Jehovah work it, then he'll show you all kinds of new things to work that you never even considered. Because Jehovah says, I will readily tell you great and incomprehensible things that you've not known. So first you need to find out who you are. Then you need to understand what he's showing you and what you can have and do because of it and do with it. Then you become a whole person. So enjoy, have a great day, and happy Sabbath.